Years and years ago, my brothers and I, we loved to watch movies on a Saturday morning, sometimes scary movies. I remember one of the movies that we enjoyed was called The Invisible Man, about a man who made himself invisible, and he learned that he could use it, and not always for good. He could use it for evil as well. But it got me thinking, even as a little boy, what would it be like to be invisible? How would I use that power? Would I use it for goodness, or like the man in the movie, end up really hurting people, in fact, in a sense, destroying his very self by that newly acquired power? There are invisible people today in our own day and age. People who are invisible not by choice, well, not by their choice, but I think by our choice. People that we pretend don't exist, people that we prefer didn't exist, people that we walk by and they are in need, but they become, in a sense, invisible. They are certainly there. They have a body like yours and mine, but somehow we don't see them. And we certainly don't see them with our heart. On September the 27th, all around the world, in communion with our Holy Father, Pope Francis, we will be commemorating, in a sense, celebrating the World Day for Migrants and Refugees. And they are among the invisible people right in our midst, people who have been disenfranchised by their own government, their own culture and society, people who have experienced just grave oppression, grave difficulties in their lives, hunger, economic difficulties, political oppression. And these are people on the move. But they're often people who are born and raised right in our own countries, people who migrate because they've run out of the ability to pay rent, people who migrate because they've lost a job, they have nowhere to go, they pull up their roots and they move. So my brothers and sisters, the first step for us is to see them, to see them. It's really the parable of the Good Samaritan repeated over and over again, how the priest walked by the man who had been robbed and was wounded by the side of the road. The priest walked right by, pretended he didn't see him. The man was invisible to him. The Levite, another leader among the Jewish people, walked right by him, invisible again. But the Samaritan, the outsider, the stranger, did see him and then took the time. He listened to him, which is the next step in honoring those who are experiencing great difficulty in life by the experience of being a migrant or a refugee. I'm going to read just one small part of the statement that Pope Francis has prepared for our upcoming World Day for Migrants and Refugees. In order to be reconciled, we need to listen. Very so important to listen. God himself taught us this by sending his Son into the world. He wanted to listen to the plea of suffering humanity with human ears. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that the world might be saved through him, John 3:16. A love that reconciles and saves begins with listening. In today's world, messages multiply, but the practice of listening is being lost. Isn't that the truth? Yet it is only through humble and attentive listening that we can truly be reconciled. In 2020, silence has reigned for weeks in our streets. He's referring to the silence of the quarantine experience, the silence of the COVID-19 environment that we live in, because in some ways there hasn't been silence in our streets. But that silence that he's referring to, it's been dramatic, as he says. It's a troubling silence, but one that has given us the opportunity to listen to the plea of the vulnerable, the displaced, the seriously ill, and our ill planet. Listening gives us an opportunity to be reconciled with our neighbor, with all those who have been discarded, with ourselves and with God, who never tires of offering us his mercy. powerful statement from the Holy Father for this World Day of Migrants and Refugees. And I'm sure that next step from the first step, seeing someone, recognizing them, seeing that they are in need, and then listening to their story, listening to what they have to say, will, for us, like as it did for the Good Samaritan, lead to action, some practical charity, and certainly an opening of our hearts to those who suffer, so unjustly, sins against them, perpetrated against them because of their station in life. So my brothers and sisters, on September 27th, 2020, we will be celebrating and marking this day along with our Pope, and we will gather our prayer together, and we will ask God to open our eyes, to open our ears. So seeing, hearing, listening, then open our hearts. Action, doing something about that and for them. So God bless you and everyone you love, always and in every way.